Welcome to Trending Faith here on GCU TV. My name is Ashley Romantic, and let's get started with today's question. I love what Jesus tells us in Matthew 6:25-34 regarding not worrying about material things and to seek first the kingdom. But I often struggle with living it out. Can you give some practical advice on how to not worry about what I eat, drink, or wear? What do you think, Tim?
Well, this is easy to help people to not worry, right? Now, I mean, if my family was sitting here, they would say, this is the wrong person to answer this question because I'm the biggest worrywart in the house. But I'll try from this standpoint. I think it's a great passage, Matthew chapter 6, and a lot of what Jesus addresses in that section is incredibly challenging for his followers to figure out, I think. Mm-hmm. I think he really raises the bar on what it means to trust him and to take on the mindset of being in the kingdom and thinking like a kingdom citizen. So how do you do that? What does it look like? And what it looks like, according to that verse, is you're not worrying. You're trusting God absolutely for the things of this life. And as I was reading that before I came over here, I thought, it was interesting that he used a bird to kind of illustrate not worrying, like a bird, flies or flits about taking care of its life. Its babies and its nest and food, and it just lives. It exists. And I can't imagine a bird sitting there going, where am I going to find, sticks for my nest or food for my, they just fly and take care of it. Mm-hmm. And so I got to thinking, when I'm not worrying, I'm just doing what God has given me to do. I've become a person who's focused on trying to be a good steward of my job and my responsibilities at home, and I don't worry about other things. It just kind of follows, if I'm focused on the right things. So I think the world kind of forces us into thinking that we're missing something and we need something. And he addresses clothes and those kinds of things of the world that we feel like we need to have. And yet, why he would point out birds as a way to kind of illustrate the point of not worrying about what you have or what you'll eat and how you'll dress yourself is just kind of interesting to me. So, reflecting on some of the verses that I've thought about when it addresses worry, it always turns to prayer. And so I think, it sounds like a Christian cop-out line. We'll just pray about it. But the truth of the matter is, if we're going to really develop our spiritual walk, it's going to be directly related to an ongoing conversation with God that we find in Jesus Christ. And if we're in that kind of relationship and we're in that kind of communication and that fellowship, so many things grow from that. And this whole idea of, what's going to happen tomorrow? How am I going to take care of this? We're not thinking about our conversation with him. We're not thinking about that relationship with him. We get caught up in all these other issues of life. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I know for me, if I just kind of put my head down and say, I got things to do that God's given me to do, and I've got to take care of them, and I pray about those. God, help me to be faithful to my family, help me to be faithful to my work responsibilities, and I need to do a good job today, that I don't start worrying about all these, peripheral things. I find myself focused on being a good steward of what I know is in front of me that I got to be responsible for. So I don't know if that's a good answer to that question, but for me it's pretty clear that it's a challenge to not worry, but to trust. And ultimately I got to wrestle through, am I really just behaving in such a way and thinking in such a way that I know God's going to take care of things if I'll just take care of what he's given me to be responsible for. So I don't know.
I definitely think that's a good answer.
I definitely haven't mastered this either. I spend a lot of time worrying, a lot of time anxious, and it's amazing. This is actually a commandment. It's a thou shalt not. You do not worry. It's not like, here's a suggestion. It's a very direct imperative. Mm-hmm. What I tend to find that within myself when I start to worry is that I'm I'm shifting in my mind and in my heart, I'm shifting my trust away from God toward myself, or I'm, very concerned about what others think. So I'm trusting in their evaluation, which means that I begin to make very little of God, quite a bit of myself, quite a bit of others. And I start to think, okay, I can own this, I can hold on to this, I can cling to this. And then, if I control it, then I don't have anything to worry about, which is absurd. And, Jesus does end on that point saying, instead of living like that, instead of making little of God and much of yourself, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well, which is this incredible call to trust and to obey and to live in a way that is, like you said, rooted in this relationship with Christ. And that's just absolutely life transforming to be able to rest in that and to allow him to provide. That's amazing. It's incredible that he would even offer that. But to rest in that is a hard thing to do for a fallen human being.
Okay, well, I hope that answers your question. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please send them to us at trendingfaith@gcu.edu or use the hashtag trendingfaith.